I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And as surely as he watches over your coming and going, he also equips you with the grace to walk in dignity, influence, and honor. Today, receive these words into your spirit. You were designed to be respected, not through force, but through the quiet power of divine alignment. There are mysteries within the human mind, patterns that shape how people respond to you, how they perceive you, and how they either draw toward you or withdraw from you. When you understand these patterns, you begin to walk with a new posture. You begin to step into rooms not as one begging for recognition, but as one sent on assignment, covered by the God who neither slumbers nor sleeps. Respect begins with the inner world. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align with truth, people sense it. They can feel when you walk in integrity. They can feel when you carry purpose. Respect is not demanded, it is revealed through the life you live. When you set boundaries, not in anger, but in clarity, you broadcast to the world that you understand your worth, and the world adjusts itself accordingly. Calm confidence is one of the most powerful forces on earth. Psychology calls it authority, scripture calls it peace that surpasses understanding. When you remain anchored, unshaken by chaos, people instinctively trust you. They are drawn to the stability you carry. They respect those who do not crumble under pressure, because such people remind them of the strength they long for within themselves. Consistency is another force of honor. When your yes means yes and your no means no, when your character does not shift with circumstances, people recognize the weight of your presence. A consistent spirit builds credibility, and credibility builds influence. You don't have to announce yourself when your life speaks for you. And finally, respect blossoms where strength meets compassion. When people encounter someone who is both firm and kind, powerful yet gentle, decisive yet understanding, they remember, they feel safe, they feel seen. They feel valued. This combination imprints itself on the human psyche in a way that cannot be erased. So today I declare over you, may the Lord be your shade at your right hand. May he shield you from every force that seeks to diminish your voice, your worth, or your presence. May he surround you with peace so profound that it becomes your signature. May he empower you with wisdom, confidence, and clarity so that everywhere you go, respect rises to meet you. You are covered, you are strengthened, you are graced for influence. And as you walk in these truths, you will find that people do not just respect your presence, they are transformed by it. Respect flows from inner alignment because every interaction you experience in life is first shaped by what is happening within you. People respond not only to your words or actions, but to the subtle signals radiating from your internal state, your beliefs, your emotional posture, your sense of worth, and the level of congruence between what you think, what you feel, and how you behave. Alignment means your inner world is not at war with itself. It means you are no longer fragmented, pulled in conflicting directions, or operating with hidden insecurities that contradict your confidence on the surface. Psychology consistently shows that human beings are naturally drawn to those who appear centered, grounded, and self-assured. The mind instinctively respects coherence. When someone's inner and outer worlds match, people feel safe in their presence. When they don't, people sense instability, even if they cannot verbalize it. Inner alignment begins with the thoughts you carry about yourself. If your self-talk is harsh, self-doubting, or critical, it will eventually seep into your tone, posture, and decisions. You cannot hide inner turmoil for long. The subconscious leaks through in small behaviors, hesitations, tension, timid speech, nervous laughter, or overcompensation. But when your internal dialogue is anchored in truth, in purpose, and in a healthy sense of identity, it shapes the energy you bring into every conversation. People are more likely to respect someone who respects themselves, and self-respect is birthed from aligning your thoughts with your true value rather than with fear or comparison. Your emotions are the second layer of alignment. Emotions that are suppressed, ignored, or denied create dissonance within the soul. When you pretend to be fine while carrying unresolved frustration, fear, or resentment, the emotional tension creates a subtle vibration that people can feel. They may not know why, but something about your presence feels off. Conversely, when your emotional life is acknowledged, managed, and understood. You project authenticity. You don't have to be perfect, emotionless, or hyper-controlled. You just have to be honest enough with yourself to remain emotionally regulated. A regulated person is respected because they do not add chaos to already chaotic environments. Their steadiness becomes a kind of authority. Then there are your actions, the outward expression of your internal world. When your actions are consistent with your values, people notice. When you say one thing and do another, the subconscious mind of others registers the contradiction and trust declines. Respect cannot grow where trust is unstable. Alignment means your choices reflect the principles you claim to live by. It means you are not swayed by pressure, flattery, or fear of disapproval. People respect those whose conduct is predictable in the best way, those whose integrity is intact whether someone is watching or not. Human psychology respects clarity, consistency, and courage, and these qualities are only possible when your behavior is aligned with what you truly believe. Inner alignment also influences the energy you carry, and energy is one of the most powerful communication tools you possess. When a person's mind, heart, and actions are unified, their presence becomes weighty. They walk into a room with an invisible authority that does not need to shout or prove itself. Their confidence is quiet, not performative. Their peace is tangible. Their words carry conviction because they come from a grounded place. This kind of person draws respect instinctively. People lean in when they speak. People listen when they offer guidance. People trust their leadership even before they have earned a title or position. And all of this unfolds not because of external performance, but because of internal order. Alignment is not perfection. It is authenticity shaped by self-awareness. It is recognizing your strengths, acknowledging your weaknesses, and refusing to hide behind masks. When you are internally whole, people feel they can rely on you. When you know who you are, people sense it. When you move without needing approval, people honor it. And when you walk with the quiet confidence that comes from being aligned within yourself, respect becomes a natural byproduct of your presence. Respect often grows in the soil of boundaries because boundaries communicate value without requiring explanation. When a person sets boundaries with clarity and grace, they are ultimately declaring something about themselves, what they stand for, what they will allow, and what they will not entertain. Human psychology is deeply wired to respond to this. When someone demonstrates the ability to protect their time, energy, and emotional space, others instinctively perceive them as strong, self-assured, and worthy of respect. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate. They are doors that filter what comes in and what goes out, preserving the dignity of the one who sets them and establishing the terms on which relationships operate. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear conflict, disapproval, or rejection. But the absence of boundaries does not create peace. It creates resentment, exhaustion, and confusion. When you say yes to things that violate your values, drain your spirit, or compromise your well-being, you not only diminish your own sense of worth, but also teach others to undervalue you. Psychology shows that human beings unconsciously test limits to understand where someone stands. When no limit is found, people assume there is none, and the dynamic becomes imbalanced. Setting boundaries is a way of stabilizing your relationships and interactions. It tells others, here is who I am, here is what I honor, and here is the standard for how I give and receive respect. Clarity is what gives boundaries their power. When your boundaries are vague, people misunderstand or misinterpret your intentions. But when you communicate them with straightforward confidence, others know exactly where you stand. This clarity is not achieved through aggression or defensiveness, but through calm, direct communication. Graceful boundaries are not demands. They are statements of self-awareness. They do not shame, blame, or accuse. They simply articulate truth. People respect those who can speak truth without hostility, who can be firm without being harsh, and who can advocate for themselves without belittling anyone else. Boundaries are not only spoken, they are lived. The most effective boundaries are those upheld through consistent action. If you tell someone you cannot accept disrespect, but you continue engaging with behaviors that dishonor you, your boundary loses authority. People respect what you reinforce, not what you verbalize. When your actions align with the standards you declare, You establish a reputation for strength and self-respect. This steadiness teaches others how to treat you without you having to constantly explain yourself. The more consistent you are, the more others adjust their behavior, because consistency is a psychological cue for seriousness and integrity. Grace in boundary setting is equally important. Boundaries delivered with anger provoke defensiveness. Boundaries delivered with insecurity invite negotiation. But boundaries delivered with grace, calm tone, confident posture, respectful language, disarm tension. They reveal that your boundary is not a reaction, but a decision. People respect decisions rooted in self-worth far more than reactions born from frustration. Grace communicates maturity, emotional control, and empathy, and these qualities elevate your influence. When you express boundaries with kindness, you demonstrate that strength and softness can coexist. Boundaries create safety, and safety deepens respect. People may resist boundaries at first because they challenge familiarity or convenience, but over time they come to value the stability boundaries provide. A person who sets boundaries becomes predictable in the best way, someone others can trust, someone whose presence doesn't shift with pressure, someone who creates healthy relational environments. When you honor your own limits, people perceive you as someone capable of honoring theirs. This reciprocity builds trust, and trust is the foundation of respect. Setting boundaries is also a declaration of identity. Each boundary says, I know who I am, I know what I carry, and I refuse to negotiate my worth. Boundaries protect your focus, preserve your peace, and refine your relationships. They filter out what weakens you and strengthen what supports you. People respect those who understand their value enough to guard it, who refuse to be stretched beyond the limits of grace or responsibility, and who show up to life anchored in self-awareness rather than emotional chaos. In essence, boundaries elevate your presence. They clarify your voice, sharpen your identity, and amplify your influence. When you set boundaries with clarity and grace, you transform the way people see you. You teach them not through pressure or force, but through the quiet authority of someone who honors their own worth and invites others to do the same. Calm confidence is one of the most compelling forces in human psychology because it communicates strength without aggression, authority without intimidation, and stability without the need for applause. People are naturally drawn to those who carry an inner stillness, a quiet assurance that does not waver in the face of pressure. This kind of confidence is not loud, boastful, or demanding. It is centered, restrained, and deeply rooted. It comes from knowing who you are, what you value, and what you stand for. When a person is anchored in that kind of internal certainty, their presence speaks long before their voice does. Their energy fills the room in a way that makes others feel safe, guided, and attentive. Psychology consistently shows that humans trust those who appear composed, and trust is the gateway to respect. Calm confidence radiates through body language. People can sense when someone is grounded. The way you walk, breathe, stand, and hold eye contact sends signals to the subconscious mind of everyone around you. When your movements are steady rather than frantic, when your posture is open rather than compressed, when your voice is even rather than shaky, people instinctively perceive you as capable. This perception is not created by perfection, but by regulation. The ability to remain emotionally balanced even when circumstances are demanding. A person who exudes calmness in tense moments earns respect because they demonstrate mastery over themselves. People admire what they aspire to become. And emotional mastery is a trait many desire, yet few display consistently. Calm confidence also influences how you speak. You do not rush your words. You do not over-explain yourself. You do not rely on volume to prove your point. Instead, your speech becomes deliberate, thoughtful, and measured. You create pauses that allow others to absorb your meaning. You use fewer words, but each one carries weight because it comes from a place of clarity rather than insecurity. This communication style signals psychological strength. It tells others that you trust your own voice. And when you trust your voice, others begin to trust it too. People respect speakers who sound sure, not because they dominate the room, but because they bring order to it. Another reason calm confidence inspires respect is that it demonstrates self-trust. When you are calm in challenging situations, it shows you believe in your own ability to handle whatever unfolds. This self-trust becomes contagious. People look to you for direction not because you force them to, but because your presence assures them that solutions are possible. Under pressure, many people default to panic or emotional reactivity, but the one who remains steady becomes a stabilizing force for everyone else. This is why calm leaders, calm parents, calm mentors, and calm partners are remembered and revered. They become an anchor in uncertain environments. Calm confidence also communicates a lack of desperation. Desperation pushes people away. When someone tries too hard to impress, persuade, or be accepted, it signals insecurity. But when you are calm, it shows you do not need validation to feel grounded. People respect those who need nothing from them, yet bring value through their presence. Calm confidence creates a psychological hierarchy in social interactions, not in a negative sense, but in a natural one. Humans instinctively follow the person who is least emotionally shaken, who is most regulated, and who carries themselves with an unspoken certainty. Another powerful aspect of calm confidence is that it reduces conflict. When you are calm, others feel less defensive around you. Your presence diffuses tension rather than adds to it. You listen more effectively, respond more thoughtfully, and approach disagreements with steadiness rather than chaos. This demeanor elevates you in the eyes of others because it shows emotional intelligence. People respect those who can disagree without becoming hostile, who can hold their ground without raising their voice, and who can manage their temper even when provoked. Calm confidence also creates an aura of mystery. When you are not easily rattled, people wonder what inner strength you have, what disciplines shape you, and what wisdom guides you. This subtle mystique enhances the respect others feel, because people admire qualities that feel rare, refined, and hard to imitate. Calm confidence feels like something earned, not performed, something cultivated through self-awareness, experience, and spiritual grounding. Ultimately, calm confidence makes people feel secure. It reassures them, it steadies them, it draws them in. And because human beings are naturally drawn to stability, they attach respect to the individuals who embody it. When you walk with calm confidence, you do not chase respect. Respect begins to chase you. Consistency in behavior creates credibility because people instinctively respect what they can rely on. Human psychology is wired to seek patterns. We look for signals that tell us who someone truly is, what they value, and whether their words can be trusted. When your actions are steady, predictable in integrity, and aligned with the character you claim to hold, people begin to build an internal map of you, one that evokes safety, trust, and respect. Consistency is not glamorous, it is not loud, it is not instantly praised. But over time, it becomes the foundation upon which influence is built. People may admire talent, charisma, or charm, but they respect consistency. Consistency matters because it removes doubt. When your behavior fluctuates based on mood, circumstance, or environment, people feel uncertain around you. They cannot predict how you will react, whether you will keep your word, or if you will be the same person tomorrow that you are today. This unpredictability creates emotional instability in relationships, which leads to hesitation and distance. But when someone consistently shows up with the same values, the same integrity, and the same level of commitment, people settle into trust. They begin to open up, communicate honestly, and rely on the strength of your character. This reliability elevates you in their minds, not because you demanded respect, but because you earned it through repetition. Psychologically, consistency signals self-control. When someone behaves consistently, it shows they are not ruled by impulses, emotions, or external pressure. They are anchored by something deeper, principles, discipline, and purpose. People respect those who can control themselves because self-control is rare. Many react impulsively, make decisions based on temporary feelings, or shift their behavior to gain approval. But the one who remains stable, who doesn't shift to impress others or compromise to be accepted, stands out as exceptional. This level of steadiness communicates strength. It shows you have mastered your inner world enough that your outer world reflects balance rather than chaos. Consistency also shapes reputation, and reputation is one of your greatest assets. Every interaction becomes a seed that grows into how people perceive you. When you are consistent with your kindness, people call you trustworthy. When you are consistent with your standards, they call you disciplined. When you are consistent in your support, they call you dependable. When you are consistent with your honesty, they call you honorable. And once these perceptions form, they become the lens through which others interpret your actions. Your consistency becomes your identity in the minds of others. Another powerful dimension of consistency is that it builds authority. People follow those whose lives demonstrate congruence. When you say you value excellence and your work reflects it, others naturally take you seriously. When you encourage patience but live hurried and frantic, your influence decreases. But when your actions reinforce your words, your leadership becomes credible. Authority is not granted by title alone, it is granted through lived example. Consistency turns your life into a message that others cannot ignore. Consistency also deepens relationships, whether in friendships, families, professional settings, or partnerships. People feel emotionally safe when they know what to expect from you. Emotional safety is one of the core drivers of respect. When people know they can count on you, not occasionally, not when it's convenient, but consistently, they elevate you in their minds. They value your presence. They give weight to your words. They make room for your influence. What many do not realize is that consistency is a discipline. It is forged through small choices repeated daily. It is choosing integrity even when dishonesty seems easier. It is honoring commitments even when you're tired. It is standing by your values even when you stand alone. Over time, these choices accumulate into a character others can trust. That trust transforms into respect, and that respect transforms into influence. People may forget your accomplishments, but they will not forget how consistently you showed up. They may not remember every word you said, but they will remember that you could be relied upon. Consistency leaves a lasting imprint on the human psyche because it reflects maturity, reliability, and inner strength. When your behavior is consistent, you become a pillar in a world full of shifting attitudes and unstable emotions, and a pillar is always respected. Empathy combined with strength creates a presence that is both grounding and unforgettable because it reflects a rare psychological balance that human beings instinctively admire. People often encounter individuals who are strong but unfeeling, or compassionate but easily overwhelmed. But when someone carries both compassion and firmness, gentleness and resilience, emotional sensitivity and inner authority, they stand out as someone uniquely trustworthy. Human psychology responds deeply to this combination because it mirrors the qualities people look for in a protector, a leader, a mentor, or a friend. It creates an environment where others feel both safe and challenged, supported yet inspired to rise higher. Empathy is powerful because it allows you to see people, not just their words or actions, but their motivations, fears, and needs. It gives you the ability to understand perspectives different from your own and to respond with wisdom rather than judgment. When people feel understood, they naturally open up, they relax their defenses, they begin to trust. Empathy creates emotional connection, and connection is often the first step toward respect. It tells others that their feelings matter, their experiences matter, and their humanity matters. But empathy alone is not enough because without strength, empathy can become enabling, draining, or confusing. Strength gives structure to empathy. It ensures that your compassion is not mistaken for weakness. Strength, in this context, is not about dominance or control. It is the ability to remain steady when others are overwhelmed. It is the ability to uphold boundaries while still caring deeply. It is the ability to remain firm in truth while responding with grace. People deeply respect those who can stand their ground without becoming harsh, who can enforce principles without belittling anyone, and who can navigate conflict without losing emotional stability. Strength gives your empathy weight. It tells people that your kindness is intentional, not accidental, that your compassion is a sign of maturity, not fragility. When empathy and strength work together, they create a dynamic presence that elevates you in the minds of others. People remember how you make them feel, and when you make them feel both seen and secure, you leave an imprint that lasts long after the moment has passed. They admire your ability to understand their struggles without compromising your own standards. They respect your ability to listen deeply without being manipulated or swayed by emotion. This balance communicates emotional intelligence, which is one of the most admired and respected traits in human interaction. This combination also fosters trust. Empathy signals that you care, strength signals that you are capable. When people sense you possess both, they feel they can rely on you, not just in peaceful moments, but in stressful ones. They trust that you will not abandon them emotionally, but they also trust that you will not collapse under pressure. This trust becomes the cornerstone of influence. People follow those who demonstrate the ability to carry both heart and backbone because they know such individuals will not misuse their authority or neglect their responsibility. Another psychological reason empathy paired with strength earns respect is that it represents authenticity. And many people try to appear strong by shutting down their emotions, or they try to appear compassionate by avoiding confrontation. Both approaches create internal and external imbalance. But when someone embraces vulnerability without losing stability, they demonstrate wholeness. They show that they are not governed by pride, fear, or insecurity. This authenticity resonates with others because it feels real, grounded, and attainable. People respect what feels genuine. Furthermore, this combination elevates communication. When you speak with empathy, people listen because they feel valued. When you speak with strength, people listen because they sense authority. Together, these qualities create a voice that carries influence without aggression. Your words gain weight because they are rooted in both understanding and conviction. You become someone who can comfort without coddling and challenge without condemning. Ultimately, empathy combined with strength shapes the way people experience you. They walk away from interactions feeling uplifted rather than diminished, empowered rather than overwhelmed. They view you as someone who holds space for their emotions without compromising your own clarity. This balanced presence makes you memorable, not because you demand respect, but because your character naturally draws it.